don't think you really snap to you about that? Well, I can use my 15-year-old. 22, 23, and has a house across the street.
Hey, Mark, come here a second.
Swimming for the first time. Where they live in the pool, and so my daughter was there. She was like,
Lamar!
Yes, sir.
Here!
Space down in the street, and drove around back to get to back on the street. I drove around.
I charge black man.
Do you have a screen protector? No, they killed some other
All right, I just want to let you know that. I might put you on speakerphone in a second, okay? Actually, before we get going, JC, I got Ed on the phone here because he's got something going on right now. So, come on. All right. What's that look for? You haven't prepared yet?
What's going on, girl?
What's that?
What you got going on?
Why don't you come over here? Are you done charging your car yet?
Yeah.
Okay, come on over. We'll see you in a minute.
Okay.
All right, I will wait a few minutes. All right. Never mind, just wait. Hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait. Sit down. We'll get to it in a minute. So stand up to sit down again. All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Woo, there's the energy. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Love it. All right, so so again, welcome to Monday the 12th. We want to make sure that again we got some housekeeping things that we want to take a look at. Why the hell you put that on my desk? I don't care about this company. All right. Basically, what we want to do is again today talk about a few different things. An award that we're going to be accepting on Thursday, and then today's going to be on perception. So we're going to speak a lot to the nature about what's in between our ears, and then again making sure that we continue to roll down the right road. We're going to start to take a look at numbers today. Then we'll let Mark get up. We've got a couple things that we're going to talk about, and I'll just hit off to start with it. You cannot leave your appointment or basically finish your day without dispoing your leads. Okay? Not fair to me to get a phone call in the morning from Michael Hayes asking me why we're not dispoing our leads. So you have to dispo your lead right after you leave the appointment or by no later the end of your last appointment. If you have a 10 o'clock and it becomes like 7 o'clock and your 10 o'clock's not done, that's neglect. It's not a good thing. There's three forms of abuse in this world: physical, mental, and neglect. So again, neglect is one of the worst kinds, right? Because again, you can leave a little baby in a diaper peeing all over itself, and that's neglect. You're not maybe beating them or mentally doing it, but again, that's kind of the same type of thing as when I look at you neglecting me, and I'm sitting in there in my diaper at home watching you guys not dispo your leads. So stop neglecting me.
That's not ready. Yeah.
I want to build a picture for you so you remember it. What's that?
You just need more on your plate.
Yeah, I just need to worry about one other thing, having to look at the dispo to make sure we issue them. We're all big boys and girls. Can I count on you to make sure you do that?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
I'll try really hard.
Then you'll be fired. All right. So next thing right through here, talking about numbers, so far, quick start. Dana, bless her heart, got rear-ended, in her truck, basically. So again, hopefully she's, gonna feel a little better. That she's got, I guess, them coming out and doing some kind of insurance thing this morning, and her back's wrenched a little bit again. So let's hope she's good to go. Right through here, Lamar's at 33, Mr. Mike Hudson's at 50. Mark Lance, by the way to turn it around, buddy. He's at 60%. So Mark, what's your turnaround, big dog?
I'm focusing more on the payment as opposed to a gross final end price, and it's doing quite well.
Cool. It's the very thing we worked on, right?
Yep.
So good job, my man. So focusing again on the price makes a gigantic difference, as you see right through there. Got a $7,964 RPO. Congratulations on that. Mr. Dan Lewis is at 38%. Good job, buddy. Mr. Megrick's got a little cold this morning, so he's at 75% close, 5,701 RPL, 45 grand so far. We have Miss Cynthia down there, 43%, $13,000 RPL. Phenomenal, already 95,371 rolling into it, so congratulations there. And overall, we're at 32%, $4,411 RPL, 374.98 so far. But again, we'll pick that up. I know that looking at lead flow's smashing right now. So, and then our rescissions at 7%. Our gross closes at 35. So, getting some good notable numbers there. Again, over that 32 mark because we're going to keep our entire month. So that way we make sure we focus on it. So again, if you're somebody on the bottom, focus on what it's going to take to get your numbers up. Secondly, with basically the bathroom shower division, we ran our first lead on Saturday. It wasn't the best lead to start out on, right, Mike?
Yeah, right.
But-
Charlie just says he needs a Zoom link.
What's that?
Charlie Brown says he needs a Zoom.
Tell him it's in his email. So again, we look at that aspect. Again, we're starting now. So again, tonight we've got another bath lead, and they're going to start picking up like crazy on that side of the business too. Rob, which is new with us today, first day. He's actually certified in, what's your certification in again?
Aging in place.
Aging in place. So again, works on like ADA bars and all the different things that for safety in the bathrooms. So again, we're excited to have him aboard as one of our bath reps. So with that said of it, Mr. Marcus Morris.
Morning.
Morning.
All right. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Just two items. First, have a little SOP with Provia. We want to make sure moving forward, so standard operating procedures. If a customer either has or desires a custom hardware, it is now part of our program that we are going to make sure that hardware goes to Provia. Provia will have it installed to the door before it gets sent. Okay? So, once again, if they either have a custom built hardware or if they plan to get a custom built, hold on, Jeremy, plan to get a custom built hardware, what's going to happen is the project manager put it in the notes that they have a custom hardware they want to use, put it in the notes. The project manager will pick that up, and then we'll make sure that gets sent to Provia so that they can go ahead and have it installed. If, in fact, the custom hardware is already on an existing door, well, then we need to put together a plan. And so how we do that is we will we're going to go buy a temporary hardware.
No, we are not buying.
We are not?
Customer is going to buy.
Well, no,
it.
customers. We're going to do it, but we're going to charge them for it. And then we're going to go ahead and put the temporary hardware on their current door. And then we're gonna take the existing hardware, the custom hardware, and send it back to Provia again, so Provia does it. We are not gonna do it on site anymore. We're gonna avoid mistakes that are being made. We wanna make sure Provia does it so that the warranty covers it.
The reason why is if they don't have it there to mortise it exact, then what happens is when it's coming in, the keeper, like for the existing reel, is almost like right on the edge of it where you can see a little daylight. The last thing you want to do is be putting silicone or like a matching silicone or anything like that around the thing itself. So it just really is clunky. And that's the St. Louis branch I was in, Dallas branch I was in was the exact same thing. Customer provided hardware doesn't mean it's already existing on the door. It means they bought the hardware to provide for the new door. And that's one of the cases. So again, if it's something where they have basically a unique hardware that they want to keep on side of it, you know, measuring the mortise on a basically handle that's already installed, that's almost impossible. So, because you don't know what it looks like underneath there. So you can guess all you want, it's not going to be exact. Even if you take their existing slab and you measure up to where the keeper is on side of it, you're still not going to be dead on because there could be something weird with the guts back behind it. Especially if it's an older door, there's some crazy stuff. I can tell you, it hasn't happened, it's only happened once. But it takes one time. I have to reorder 2 doors to learn from it. But what happens is when the door is set inside of it, then there's a little tiny gap on one side of it where it's not completely finished off. And trying to find a different cover to fit an old hardware set is almost impossible.
So that just goes with customers who want to use their existing hardware?
Or want to go buy their own hardware to cut
Okay,
costs.
so not, okay.
Can you order a Provia door without hardware?
Yeah, it's a prep only.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I just had never.
Sorry.
And so they'll order the door and then they'll ship whatever they.
Hold on, one meeting.
To Provia.
They need to have it
They
there
have to
ready
get it
for,
ahead of
they need to
time.
have it there ready for the manager. If they want to buy hardware and leave their old hardware, sometimes it's stupid. A lot of times they want to keep it because it's key to the rest of the house. So just knowing what, you know, if it's a 5 key, a 6 pin, whatever it might be, that's kind of the key to making sure that everything's keyed together. But a lot of people, that's the reason they want to keep their hardware is because they like all their keys to match. So unless it's something unique or crazy, well, then there's got to be a temporary set that we can put on the door that allow us to basically put that in a box and ship it to Provia so they can match the mortise.
But they provide the temporary one as well.
Yeah, they need to go buy it. We're not buying it. That's it.
And
That's like us going on a goose chase. So we'll do it if there's money added into it. You know, but a cheap hardware set, you can go down and buy for $30 from the hardware store, but you got to make sure that one's going to match what they currently have, so they don't have gaps and bugs and water and everything else get in.
So they could put a temporary one on their current door, so we can.
If they want to use their existing, which I 100% tell you is never a good idea. I would always either have them, if they want to go buy their own hardware, let's say you're in the middle of getting a deal, and you look at taking the deal off as the difference between you and $500. And basically you figure out doing a hardware mortise only is there, and they want to provide their own hardware, they go down and buy from the box store. Then they could do that, and then basically have it there for us. But at that point, you're pinching pennies to try to save dollars, and it's stupid. You should order the door with the hardware already from Provia and be done with it. It's just, to me, a non-issue. The only issue it is if you run into that once, 2% of the time, that finicky customer that has to have it, then again, we have to send the hardware with it. We can't just leave it on the door.
And then do they install the temporary hardware on their doors
Yeah,
themselves?
we'll help them install it. Yeah, that's not a problem.
But that wouldn't, we'd have to make a special trip to go and install that.
That's why we would like them to have it there
Right.
on hand.
On
so
the
we know-
measure? On the measure?
Yeah.
Okay.
So are we just gonna charge them extra? Do we just put like $50 extra?
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Well, if we do though, because I run into.
Just throw an extra $100 on it, that's what we're doing.
Any other questions?
Because you gotta figure, we gotta pay for the shipping to get it there too.
Okay, real quick. So Dustin's already touched on disposition in regards to making sure we dispo all of our appointments the same day. Don't let it go through the night without dispoing it. We've had some situations where someone makes a sale, but they keep it under no sale. So it's highlighted no sale. They'll put in the amount that they sold. All we're going to see is that it was a sale, but you're not going to get the benefit of how much you sold it for. So it just shows up in Lead Perfection as just a sale, but there's no dollar amount. So
So then I have to go in after you're done, and I have to change your dispo. It'll say sale, but it says $0 on it. So it takes me literally like 3 minutes each time I have to go. I timed it. It's 3 minutes each time I have to. And some days I got to review 3 of them, 4 of them. So it's like crazy. Again, make sure you take your time, hit the thing on the top, because your disposition will still let you hit contract sign. But if you don't push the sale on the top of it, it doesn't carry over.
that is correct. You always know the difference between sales. Sales is going to have more information, how many units, stores, windows, things like that. Finance, all of that. Whereas it's no sale, it's basically green line, whatever the disposition, most interested prospect, things like that. You can still put in your finance interest and then notes. So when it
And
comes to
by the way, real quick too, while we're talking about that, because there's a couple hot buttons that keep pissing me off at night. 2, if it's a one party, mark it a freaking one party. Why would you put it as a demo no sale? That doesn't teach anybody anything, right? You put it as a demo no sale, but it's an actual one party, it's one party. Doesn't mean that they're hiding out in the room. That's not really a one party. That's, we need to drag their ass out of the room or reschedule for a time to get them. But again, the purpose of it's a one party, and I read some of it, it says clear as day, one party rather knows, but you guys are demo no sale. That doesn't teach the call center lesson, right? And we want to trust you, verify everything's going, it's happening good. Because again, what it makes it look like, if it's a demo no sale, and I'm looking at your 1 for 2s at the end of the month, then it doesn't give you a fair reflection of what the actual results are, right?
What if you can't get a commitment on the next appointment? What if it's not a reset? Well, that's the problem. Yeah. I run into.
Well, then I would just do it as one, I'd just still mark it as a one party, because there's not a good thing for it. If you demoed it as a one party, and you didn't sell it, then you put one party, put demo, no sale, no plans on following up. Right there, but I still want to mark it as a one party, because I want to identify what percentage of our one parties are. If not, like I went at Don Dewey like 2 months ago, and I said, hey, our one parties are freaking ridiculous. No, they're not. Look at it right here. It shows that they're at 7%. I can't find it. 7, we used to be at 22 at RVA, right? So I can't find it 7. But when I had to go back through everybody's detail and read their notes to figure out what was basically one party and not. And again,
How about like if it's a one party, but the other members in the house? they
that's
just-
not a one party. That's a demo no sale. Yes,
What happens when the call center says single homeowner?
that's a one party.
They tell you it's a single homeowner, but you get there and they're like,
Yeah.
Still mark it as a one
That's a
party.
one party. That's an easy one. Again, if all homeowners are not there, right? If not all homeowners are not there to make a decision, then that's gonna be a one party. So there's no questions about it. If all homeowners or decision makers are not there, it's a one party. Now, if they're in the other room and just are pricks and won't come out of the room, sorry, that's a demo no, so we're both there. That sucks. I hate it, but that's a demo no.
so that I'm clear on that one. So if it's a single homeowner, there is one party and there is no other party involved. It's not a one party.
Now, she was saying that they mark it as a single homeowner, but there's another party that's not there.
Correct.
That would be
Okay.
a one party.
Okay.
If it's a single homeowner and they're the sole decision maker, then that's a demo no sale. If all homeowners make the decision are there, as basic as can be, then that's gonna be a demo no sell or sell, nothing else. And a no demo is if they want a swimming pool, a roof, or basically stucco, or all they want us to re-stucco their whole house, that we don't do, that would be a no demo. Anything else, it'd be demo. Okay?
Demo no sale basically is going to be the moment you pass through that threshold and you begin to engage the homeowner. If there's no other situations, one party, no demo because you couldn't do it, or a customer not home would be obvious, but the moment you pass that threshold, you begin to engage them.
If you're there 15 minutes, it's demo.
It's a demo.
And then the other thing is, if you get in that house and you know that you're running out of time, and you're sitting there with the homeowners in front of you and you ran out of time, if you don't set a date and time for follow-up, then that's your fault. When Repeat that. If you don't set a date and time to follow up, that's your fault, and you take the hit for a demo no sale. If you get the date and time to follow up with them right there, get your butt on the horn with the call center. Why take the hit on something you don't have to take the hit on, right? Don't hurt our close percentage because you didn't run the play. Call them, set it up, make them move it to that date and time, and then literally, then it's off your books, right? Then it's to be fought another day, not have to fight that one, and then say it rolls into another month before you can see them again. Now basically you've got that on your numbers not once but twice.
Can you book it like a month or two in advance? No, it's gotta be like.
I'm gonna try 7 to 10 days. I mean, if they really are serious about doing it, they're not gonna push you off a month. That's ridiculous. Especially because we run Sundays too. So there's no way that any human being, if they're really serious about doing the project.
Or if they're waiting for like a, home equity line credit to come through or something like that.
Then that would be a demo no sale following up on this date and this time.
What is not covered
That means you didn't show up for the appointment.
that we didn't show?
That's a terminating offense.
So it's not run.
We don't put that on ourselves.
No, that should never be touched.
That one and not run? Okay,
We
so
call that the Robin Dixon number. We call that.
what does that mean?
There's one rep that ever did that to me.
Oh.
And she got terminated.
Yeah. Decided to go to a
She's
party?
gonna go, she's gonna be appointed.
I don't know what,
She decided to go to a party instead.
something happened, but she did not face all protocol.
All right, so demo no sale rehash. So the only time you will click on that is if you are actually running a rehash appointment and it becomes a demo no sale. You're not stating to the call center that you ran an appointment, it's a demo no sale, and you highly recommend that it be a rehash. That's not what that's for. That's only if you ran a rehash.
One last thing, I'm sorry to keep talking, but, I talk to the call center, 2 times a week, probably the manager. And I'm trying to identify, certain leads and things that are going on into there, making sure the basic time frame, you got enough time and things set. I want you guys to give me more notes, right? It doesn't take that long to type in, 2 or 3 lines with the notes. Give me more notes so I know what's going on, right? So therefore, I got your back 100%. So I just need to know what the hell's going on in there. If there's some weird, unique craziness or something on there, not a big lie report. I don't want you to write 15 lines on why you didn't sell it. I want to know if there was a condition, what was the condition, right? If you weren't set up for success, why weren't you set up for success in a positive, professional manner? Because again, everybody reads them, including Larry. You think Larry does? Larry reads everything, right? I don't know how the hell he does it, but he does it. So write everything in there professionally, but again, let us know. Tell the story back behind the appointment. The appointment costs $500 to $1,000 for you and you paid for it. Would you want to know what's going on to it? Again, it's the same thing we want to know there. I'm not saying it so we can rehash it. I'm saying it so we know what's going on at the appointment so we can identify, is it a training moment? Is it a training moment for the sales rep? Is it a training moment for basically the call center agent? Is it a training moment for the proximity person? The training moment for the events person? We can't get better if we don't know what goes on. But if you just see it and complain about it and talk to about two other people in the room, but nobody ever knows about it, then that's neglect the same way as anything else. Does that make sense? We're tightening our ship up now again really hard. So I'm not going to be lax like I have been for these first couple of months in the transition. Time to get the screws back on and get back up to the volume we're used to. I'm not accepting failure excuses no more. So we're getting ourselves back on track and running it like it did when I first got here, same way.
And then in regards to customers, when you're with a homeowner and you're running an appointment and you're in the negotiation and you still have another hour, but you're looking at your clock and you're about an hour away from your next appointment, that's when you need to be calling Dustin or I. We can try to see if we can reschedule that. If you know, in fact, you're not going to be able to be done in time, let us reschedule it. Don't try to call the call center at that point. If you feel you're going to be about 15 minutes late, then go ahead and call this call center, let them know. They'll call the homeowner, let them know that you're going to be about 15, at the maximum 30 minutes. I wouldn't go beyond 30 minutes. If you know you're going to be late an hour or longer, you need to call us so we can reschedule, get someone else to run it. If we can't, then we'll work with a call center and try to figure out a solution for that. But we don't want the homeowners obviously being pushed off. If you put yourself in their shoes, a lot of them end up taking the day off to be able to be a part of that. And so to them, it's lost revenue from their side too. They didn't make money because they were there waiting only to have it pushed off or completely canceled or no one even arrived.
Yeah, when you call us, let us know how long you think you're gonna be. Don't just say, hey, I'm gonna be running late to my next one. And I'm gonna be about 15 minutes late or 30 minutes late. Give us that kind of time frame so we know, so we can see how we can plan it. Because if you're in that area, and I gotta drive somebody from up north down or up south up, then that's not fair to them if basically you're just gonna be 15 minutes behind schedule, right? As long as we let them know in an hour in advance, that's acceptable. But if we let them know 15 or 20 minutes before, then they're gonna be pissed off.
So just for clarity, if we're gonna be late for our next appointment, call you no matter what, how late we're going to be? Because like if it's 15 minutes, call the call center. If it's longer, call you.
If you're 15 minutes or something like that, you know you're gonna be running, you're still gonna get to it, you're just not sure if you're gonna be on time or possible 15 minutes late, you're cool to call center. Right, I don't need to know everything you do. Basically, but if it's gonna be, you're running that hour time mark and you're just getting into, let's say, you're getting into either the close or you're getting into the, you're just starting to break out your product, then you know that there's not a good chance you're gonna get there for another 30 minutes to, 45 minutes to an hour. Again, that's when we want to be notified. If you know there's a good chance that somebody else can get there on time, then forfeit. Make sense?
Other questions?
Back to the one leg reset. If we say next Monday at 2, and we talk to the homeowner and they agree, is that between us and for us to manage, or does the call center step in and double check that they're gonna be there?
We want to call and set that up, right? And then what I would do, if you don't see it popping on your calendar by like the day before, 2 days before, I'd probably call the customer yourself. And just, hey, I just want to make sure we're still on for basically Tuesday or Monday at 10 or Tuesday at 10 or whatever time it might be, or Monday at 2, just to make sure they're good. I wouldn't forget about it because say the call center just can't get a hold of them because they're already expecting you to come out, so they're ignoring it. So a good idea is just follow up with them on your own real quick and just make sure that it's good.
Okay, and then let you know so that we can adjust.
Yep.
But do we need to make that appointment while we're in the house with the call center?
100% yes. You just need to get that habit. Remember, a successful appointment is 3 things. It's a yes, a no, or a date and time to follow up with the next appointment. If you don't have one of those 3 in the recipe, it's a failure, right? So you might as well just call it a demo notice and walk away. So it's a yes or a no, or a date and time to follow up, okay? Even if the other party's not there, you're like, good, Dustin, but the other party's not there to even let them know, they got to communicate. Well, bullshit. Set a tentative time that they got to call you back and reschedule for. But if you put a date and time there in place, then they have to call you back to reschedule, which gives you a purpose for the next communication. If you don't have a purpose for the next communication, you're done. Make sense? Yes, no, or date and time to follow. Those are the only three things you should accept at the end of every appointment. You did drive out there on your own gas, right? You set your time aside to be there on time and do what you were asked to do. And if it didn't work out because of something that's going on in their time frame, then literally they owe you that respect to give you that date and time where you're going to reconvene. And demand it. Don't ask them. Tell you when can you do it. And give them an alternate choice or something. So, all right.
The last thing I have is if you're available. So let's say you set yourself up and you're available for the whole day. I want to give you a perspective. Think of yourself like a surgeon. And so you're on call throughout that whole day. So if you're available for 10, 2, and 6, you're basically on call. So if you don't have appointments the night before and you don't see appointments the morning of, don't assume you're not going to get an appointment at 6 o'clock. Don't just start planning the rest of the day and just say, I'm off, I'm ready to go have a good time. Because you might get a call at 5 o'clock in the evening saying we need you to run an appointment. And so from our perspective, you are available unless you tell us otherwise ahead of time. So what would be a good cutoff, Dustin, for that?
An hour before.
Hour before. So anything beyond that, then they're free to make plans?
After that, I mean, there might be a time I might call you 5 after, 10 after, but it'll never be after that. If it's past that point, I'm not going to get hold of anybody.
Okay.
That's call centers knows that too. It's that hour before aspect. Sometimes they might have a rep that doesn't call us exactly an hour. They might call us at 45 minutes too. So I'm scrambling knowing they're going to be an hour late because you're loving the one you're with. I understand. I've been there. So literally then I ask for your forgiveness on those. But for the most part, after that hour clicks, then you're pretty good to go. Special circumstances. In a special circumstance, I generally call and ask for forgiveness or ask permission, rather than just tell you to get to the file. Okay?
Okay, that's all I got. Thanks, guys.
So, Mark, you were saying,
Yep.
DNS rehash, so if it's a rehash, then it's,
This is only if you're running.
Rehashes, give me some good feedback on those.
as if we're running a rehash.
That is if you've run the rehash and it still turned out to be a demo no sale. That's the only time you're going to use that.
All right.
So for those that know what a rehash is, you'll know when to use that.
All right. JC.
Great, wait.
We have some amazing birthdays this month, and we're so glad they were born, aren't we?
And what's JC? Yay! She's like Teen Mom. That's who she is.
Ready? Okay, no, I'm just kidding. So we also are celebrating the most amazing Mark Moore and Ed Bloom. Come on down. It's your birthday. It's your birthday.
Get on up there, gentlemen. Somebody get the picture hit. There's nobody else in August. Where's all the Leos?
Three of us. Three of us. Dun, dun,
All
dun.
right.
Hold on.
Happy birthday
Birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, dear JC, Mark, and Ed. Happy birthday to you and many more. Okay, you get this side, you get that side, I'll take the middle.
What does my daughter do? Hoorah, stick your head, knock,
Look how cute it is.
That's cute. Look at the
Isn't that
crowd.
cute? The crowd for you.
Oh, cute. Very good. Happy birthday, guys.
Yay.
Yay.
Wait, I got nothing.
All right, Ed, you're free to do what you want to do now.
I remember that first time over here. Okay, boys.
All right. Give JC a second to get back to her seat.
So, Dustin, a quick question, just, not to like belabor the point, but,
You're belaboring the point
I
now.
know, but, yeah.
Points, Philip. Jeremy, what's the ruling? Point belabor? Yeah. I'm just kidding. What do you got?
So, a situation where maybe there's three decision makers and one of them isn't there, are we still calling that a one-liner?
Well, if all the decision makers are not there, prevent you from making a decision? Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Sometimes you run into a trust.
Yeah, or like a parent and, you know, and senior citizen or elderly parent and the children are there to help make the decision what the patients. Or,
Again, if it prevents you from making a decision, there's a party that wasn't there that prevents you from making a decision.
then put it as a one-liner.
But we should find that out in the very beginning. So all decision makers here are all homeowners that have an interest in the property here. And what do we call that? What do we call this date again? What's the part with the title? What's the name of it, Jeremy? What's the name of our sit? What does our state require? It's a, what do you call it? A common law state, I think, where you have to have all homeowners. I forget what it's called. Somewhere you got to have all the homeowners there or whatever for them to make a decision. One party can't make a contract for the other party. Community property. There we go. All right. With this said, watch away.
Hi, I'm Robert Lee. I own Coleman Liquidation. I sell mobile homes. I'm not gonna waste your time. I'm gonna tell it just like it is. These are mobile homes, not mansions. They come in two pieces. If that's what you're looking for, that's what I got.
They're used. Some of them have stains. We cover that up.
She decorates them, she sells them, these guys help me with it. A bouncer in Birmingham hit me in the face with a crescent wrench 5 times. And my wife's boyfriend broke my jaw with a fence post. So if you don't buy a trailer from me, it ain't gonna hurt my feelings. So come on down to Coleman Liquidation and get yourself a home, or don't, I don't care.
New team member.
So when you see the great Coleman liquidation video there, what does that make you think about that? What does that make you think about that trailer company?
He doesn't give a shit where he's buying hot.
You got hit in the face with a crescent wrench.
Right.
They'll
cover up the blood stains with carpet.
Yeah, there's stains there, but they'll cover it up with carpet. All right, so what does that tell you about the quality of the individual that you're dealing with there? I mean, what's your perception of it?
The word trailer park comes to mind.
Genuine.
They're all cousins and married.
What's that? They're all cousins. So let me ask you, if you were in the market for a house or a trailer, is that somebody you would want to go call?
Yes.
No.
I would like to meet them. I think they're from my wife's hometown. Oh, you've never been to Southeast Missouri then? Campbell, Missouri? I'm not talking soup. I'm talking peaches, buddy. It's definitely.
Buffalo, Missouri.
When we look at them, right? Doesn't that like when you look at them, it's almost comical, right? You can't help but kind of giggle or snarl, right? And maybe they're serious. You know, that was a real ad. That was a real ad. So you look at that ad.
The man knows his market.
He knows his market.
Put on his clean shirt and everything.
Yeah, he wanted to know the market, right? He didn't care. It's one of those aspects because, again, in life, we have perceptions, right? We perceive things. We want them to be a certain way. When we look at certain people, we automatically perceive or start to judge, and it's not because of a bad thing, because that's just our preconceived notion, right? It's our habits, our thoughts, our feelings, things like that put us in that area. So again, we're forced to by nature. It's not because we want to be judgy, but basically it's one of the things we look at by nature. So when you look at the Coleman video there, the funny thing is, again, he's just this good old boy out there trying to make an honest buck, right? And his wife's boyfriend broke his arm or whatever it was. So there's all kinds of different things on there that just let you think, you're like, what a trailer trash, right? What a pump. I can't believe that. That's horrible, right? That's so embarrassing. How could they even do that? You know, so we played that a long time ago at Champion, which we did a keynote on it, which I thought was pretty cool. And we were putting all the best videos on that we used to play because we're getting ready to do a reunion down in Florida, which is going to be kind of cool. I'm not going to go, but I saw the videos on through there, and I picked that off, and I'm like, oh, God, I remember that. It's so funny, right? So again, when you think about that, again, that's perception. So now, rolling into the second set of it, Jesse.
I'm just giving this to Norma so she can take it.
Okay.
This is for you.
That's for me. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You like vanilla.
Appreciate that. All right. So what I want to do now is get test perception again. So then we're going to go in today's things. Again, I want to make sure that we're seeing everything from what we see, right? And the reason why I do this is when I'm trying to get demo percentage out, our perception sometimes becomes our reality, right? You know, when somebody walks into your house, if you want, like, say you walk into an Asian home, right, and you don't take your shoes off, what do you think their perception of you is?
Disrespect.
Disrespectful, right? So you ruin yourself right away. If I basically am in the same house and I lift and show the soles of my feet, what have I just done? So what's their perception of me? So again, there's so many things in through here that we're not paying attention to. We just look at the world through our own eyes. So again, what I want you guys to do real quick, play this game with me real fast. And at the end of it, we'll see who's right.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make? The answer is 13. Ah, did you see the moonwalking bear?
So I played that one in here about a year ago, and I thought Jeremy caught up on it. I saw that. But right, if we're focused on one thing, something can be set right in front of our face when we miss it, right? We're so focused on counting how many times the team in the white passed the ball that we missed that the moonwalking bear. You know, why do you think I would bring that up today? What do you think the purpose of this is? JC, what do you think?
I think you're saying because we must be missing something.
You're a Chicago Bear.
What's that?
Maybe Chicago Bears.
No. Mark Lance, what do you think?
Probably the situational awareness, which you talk about quite a bit, finding out what the real problem is, observing what you're looking at and really listening to your client.
Nick?
Yeah, pretty much that. Too focused on our own agenda instead of focus on the why.
I think that's pretty good, right? So far starting to catch, right? Well, be hard on yourself too, because sometimes like this whole thing, right? If we don't seek first to understand before being understood, it's one of the golden rules, right? If we're not trying to figure out what situation we're into and figure out why they're being that way, then how do we ever receive it in return? Like Mark, I'm not meaning to use Mark Lance as a basically example, but to an extent, he had himself sold on paying cash. Everyone's paying cash, right? And pushing cash and saying a payment out loud, rather than put it in front of their face. Put a payment in front of their face, and suddenly we start making things more affordable. Then good things happen. We want to make sure again that we get out of our own way, because we can only focus on one thing at a time, right? That's when we look at and we give presentations a lot of times. We're so worried about what we have to say, not hearing what the customers are telling us. And we're so busy on worrying about what we have to say next, or what box we got to check, or what commitment we've got to get, or we got to price it first, or get all this stuff out and done. By the time I'm done, I'm going to miss something. Well, sometimes the very thing we miss is right in front of our face, right? Would you agree with that? So again, it's more than just process. That's why I say an amateur practice get it right, a professional practice get it wrong, because when you know all the basics and you no longer have to think about it, then you start focusing on the why and the reason you're there. But if you can't perfect the basics, then you have to think about what you have to do yet and still trying to pay attention to the why, which you can't do. You can't do both at the same time. It's impossible. There's no such thing as multitasking. So real quick. Perception. Your perception is your perception. But people still don't understand the simple fact that perception is different from reality. And that everyone has their own perception of the world. Everyone thinks their perception is reality. So there becomes millions of realities when in fact there was only one. Right? So when in fact there's only one. So if you think about that for a minute, what does that mean? What do you think, Dan?
That everybody creates their own story in their head as to what's going on, but there's only one thing that's actually true.
Okay. What do you think, Lamar?
Well, there could be no better example than today's political scene, where people look at one incident and say X and the other say no, it's Y.
Okay. Sean, what do you think?
My perception doesn't really matter when I'm in a house because I'm not the one who's dictating the reality at that point. The reality I gotta live by.
Good. Absolutely. guys ever seen this? Right? Who's wrong? Who's right? Who's right, Ryan?
Due to shape, I would say mine is right.
So looking at that, it gives you an idea, right? A perception. Depending on what side you're looking at it, you could absolutely be right. You'd be willing to fight over, right? And no, that's a 6, no, that's a 9. You gotta be kidding me, right? So you look at perception, that's how we do. Sometimes we perceive things as a reality, when sometimes it's not. You're looking at it on the other side of the fence, right? When we got a 6. So there's a 6, there's a 9. So when you look at that thing, how does that apply inside the house? How does that apply inside of the house? Give me an example of how you might feel like that might apply in a house. Where we think we're absolutely right, they're seeing it from the other side of the world, they're thinking we're absolutely wrong. Give me an option. What might be even a real life circumstance or a basic customer interaction standpoint where we might think that?
Vinyl windows are great.
It could be. It could be. That's because their perception, which is what they go, might be the reality, right? How long? The question rolls into it. How long did they live with those windows inside their house? What condition and environment did they set into, right? What are some of the aspects that we dealt with on a day-to-day basis? So again, that's where it kind of rolls. Read this for me. Jeremy, read that.
Burning another bush.
How many got that? A lot of people skip over the second D. So they read it, even if you take a second look at it sometimes, it's hard to get over. There's a quick one. The bird does a bush, right? So what we'll do next, look at that. Sometimes basically our brain is designed to skim over things, right? Unless you're analytical, which most of us aren't. In here, it's easy to make a quick mistake. So let's go play again. Cynthia, what does that say?
What does it say?
What's that say?
The word?
What do you see? There's a word in there.
You?
Mark, what do you see?
Oh.
What do you see, Mike?
Mate.
Huh?
Mate.
Mate?
M plus an 8.
Ah. What do you see, Mike Pierce?
Me.
What do you see, Hauser?
Oh, my glasses.
All right, we're disconnecting you. Nick, what do you see? Nick, what do you see? Saw the U. What about you, Ryan? What do you see?
Me.
What do you see, Jeremy? Your brain's got to be puzzled right now.
I saw both. I don't know. I looked at it and looked.
What'd you see first?
I wanted to see you first, but the U doesn't do it for me. So then I looked at the name.
See, Jeremy's wired different.
It's not a complete U, so I was a little
Analytical.
You want to know?
Yeah, he's analytical. So again, looking at that, right? Both is somebody right and is somebody wrong?
How are you?
I saw you the first time I looked at it too. And then you look at it again and recheck, and then it says me. I never saw the 8 thing. What'd you say it was? U8?
M plus an 8.
M8? I guess it could be a U8 too. So there's a couple different perspectives to look at right there, right? All right. Dan, read that for me.
Only smart people can read this. I couldn't believe that I could actually understand the phenomenal power of the human mind. According to research at Cambridge University, it doesn't matter in what order the letters in a word are. The only important thing is that the first and last letter be in the right place. The rest can be a total mess, and you can still read it without a problem. This is because the human mind does not read every letter by itself, but the word as a whole. Amazing, huh? and I always thought swelling was.
So looking at that aspect, right? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that trippy? They basically, the first and last letter, the most important ones, right? Our brains make up for the differences because we get so used to doing things. It's called habits. This is why if you go on a slump, it's why you go on a slump and you don't fix it, you stay on a slump, right? This is why basically if you go on the street and you keep doing what you're doing, you stay on the street, right? So again, that's the cool thing about thinking about a project or thinking about, a lesson like this, is there's always more to it than you think, right? And I'm going to look at the 6, I'm looking at the 9, my perception or my perspective aspect on that is big because again, it's how I'm looking at the world, right? It's my reality. So the reality out there, even though that's all jumbled up, you didn't have a hard time reading it. It amazes me every time I hear it because I look at all that garbled up stuff out there. And I'm like, how in the hell? But it's pretty cool to see. So again, what I want to talk about is perception. Now, this is near and dear to my heart because I moved here this month, halfway in the month would be my second year. Okay? I think I moved here halfway in the second month. My first full month was in September. And when I came in, my personal opinion of the place was a disaster. Really bad. And there was no order. Everything was chaos. There was a couple good reps that didn't have direction, I felt. And then the back end was in shambles. Ken was basically crying on his desk. There was all kinds of different stuff happening. So looking at what we've done and where we've become is pretty good. But I feel like sometimes our perception is not where it needs to be. I think when we made the transition, we fell backwards quite a bit. We've slipped. And the reason why I bring this up is, we're receiving an award on Thursday night for the best in San Diego, right? For windows and door market. Best in San Diego. Now, to be the best, or be number one, that's a big responsibility. It's a gigantic responsibility. It's one that is going to be looked at from the public when we put that little logo on there. And I went through and I was seeing what it actually means. I was like, is this just a bullshit award? Is it just trying to get us to spend advertising? No, I started looking at, salons and basically restaurants and all kinds of places advertise the hell out of this. So for us to win, it's a pretty damn big deal. So congratulations. Actually, give yourselves a round of applause on that one, right? Everybody worked their butt off. But to me, I take things personal. So when we're calling ourselves the best, we got to act like it. And there's a lot of things I feel like we don't do or we are not deserving of that award. And let me explain. We're going to go through a little exercise in a minute and figure out where we're at. Because I actually gave something similar in the branch meeting to this presentation. I wanted to bring it to you guys because I felt like it made me identify and made everyone on the back end of the business identify too, where we're falling down and need to get up. So I asked them and I asked you guys the same thing on a level of 1 to 10. And now here's one thing I want you to do, right? Because we all have a perception, the back end's fault. Back end says front end's fault, right? So we're one business. So repeat that. We are one business. If you give shitty paperwork and shitty detail on your jobs, that is as much your fault as it is their fault. So we look at what we're trying to make sure happens here. It's a big deal. So before you answer, I want you to think of everything. I'll tell you the number I feel like we're at after I share what you guys feel. But on a level of 1 to 10, where do you feel like we're at on a company as far as being the best? We're not talking about advertising or anything else. We're talking about San Diego, the things that we can control. Where do you feel like we're at in San Diego for actually being the best? You rated our company from a 1 to 10, being inside of it, level of 1 to 10, what would you rate our experience to the homeowner from a 1 to a 10? JC, what would you rate?
For just me or for
No, our whole business, we're a unit. And you're gonna be forced to rate yourself in a minute. What's your point? Wait, what's your rating?
What's that?
What's your rating?
7.
Have a good day. 7? Nick? How's it?
Can you clarify that though? Because you said like overall, but then you also said experience for the customer.
Well, I think that is overall. That's, why do we work? To
No,
get
because,
home?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful. I also, you're saying from our perspective as a company too. Like, for us, as employees of this company, like, what could be better? Like, a lot could be better from, as an employee. And what could be better as a consumer? And
Well, that's.
No perception.
You mean like a combination of
So
everything?
so which one do you
Combo
want
of
to take
everything.
Let's talk about from the homeowner's perspective right now, okay? Then we can,
I would say 8.5. Easy, at least from my experience, I don't know your guys' job, what challenge you guys have in mind, there's a problem, I went out to one last week, and Scott was there, I mean, everybody took care of it, homeowners 100% happy, issues, thankful, even though it was screwed up. That's been really my experience on my job.
okay. What would you say, Dan? We'll take customer perspective first and we can talk about internal things in a minute. But for right now, because our representation of being the best has to represent that to our homeowner. That's what I'm talking about right now, okay? On some of that other sidebar stuff, send me an email. You can go off on a tangent on that shit later, but right now, I want to go off just what our experience as a homeowner is from a rep perspective, from an install perspective, from a project management perspective, from all the perspectives that we have out there, then we're creating an experience, right? Why do people go to DreamStyle? To create an experience for the homeowner. That's why we exist, right? That's why we exist. So how do we do creating that experience for the homeowner? I've heard an 8, 7.
I would say probably, as far as from the customer's perspective, probably a 9, because I mean, there are situations that doors are ordered wrong or whatever the case may be, but that's not like 10% of the time, you know? I think that more than 90% of the time we're doing it spot on.
What do you think? Mark Moore.
I don't know, I kind of rated us 7.5. I mean, being the best would be a 10. And I don't think we're quite there yet.
I don't think a 10 exists. I don't think there's a such thing. I think a 9 is as high as you get. Because a 10 means you've got no room to grow. Right? And I think we have tons of room to grow. What do you guys think? Anybody else? What do you think? Hudson?
I'd say approximately 7.835.
835? I like 835. Why?
I think that, we're lacking a little bit in our presentation. I think that, the paperwork process, once they say yes, is, looks juvenile to the customer. And looks like it's fractured and stuff. I don't think it's a professional look. And I think there are times when it seems like there are phone calls or whatever that afterwards that haven't come in on a timely basis and stuff, but I have heard really good things about, if there is a problem, how the back end, Scott especially jumps in and solves it. So if there is a problem, it sounded very good, very responsive.
Good feedback. Anybody else?
I'd say like around 7.5 as well for a similar, just as far as like being able to provide the customer with more detailed information as far as like what they're getting, the pricing, stuff like that. I found that a lot. Like I've had to go back twice with people and go through the contract with them and write down every individual price, you know, for stuff that they want for the details. These things like, I mean, it's little things, but just kind of maybe what you were saying, a little more professional in the delivery.
On that side of it, I disagree. The reason why is we're retail. We're a retail organization. We're not a wholesale. We're a wholesale company. We're just selling the product and then they can pay for the installation onto the side of it. That'd be one thing, but again, they're buying the whole package for this. So we don't want to identify that line item. It's what we don't want to do. If you need it, then we can provide it on a different form that actually I can, hey, email and remind me to put with Rodney to let them do the leap results when you guys enter the lead results. The leap results, you should see the line item on what you charge per window. Is what it should be that comes over. I get it, it shows me what your detail is and where you're at compared to green line. So I'll make sure that gets, you guys get that on your email. Yes.
Couple issues I know everybody's gonna agree at. We have a lot of paperwork for buying 10 windows. The homeowners association, that other long sheet that's duplicating maybe 3 times what they paid with the down payment and everything else. And the other thing is, I haven't had a customer call me on it because they didn't scroll down. When we send over the bid, we send over 4 sheets. We don't send over 1.
The California contracts, I've set down, and it started out the first time I went through it as like 10 pages. There's a lot of legal legality in California that you don't have in some other states. Like I'm used to a front and back paper with a rescission form, is what I'm used to, but here there's a ton of legality.
You throw it in on the contract.
Can't do it. If you got a front and back aspect on it.
You throw it in on the computer.
What's that?
Throw it in on the computer.
Oh, you mean on something
All
else?
digital.
The problem is there's no initials, and that's just the work. It's a work in progress. I can tell you that I've been part of it for a long time, like in this industry a long time. And no matter what company you work for in this industry, paperwork's a freaking nightmare. It always happens. Home improvement contracts are pretty much like almost like a mortgage contract. I get that. As far as making that a customer experience, I'll tell you that, my number is lower than your guys. My number is 6. And I feel like, let me tell you a couple places where I feel like we failed. That's all right. Then we'll go through the exercise. But I think number 1, if we don't do a methodical presentation every time we walk into the house, we fail the homeowner. That's a bad customer experience. A bad closing percentage is a bad customer experience. That's worse than all, because it means we didn't instill our trust in the brand. So if I got a 15, 20% close, that's a bad customer experience. That is just as bad as basically a negative review on Yelp or a negative review on Google. That's the same exact thing. Okay? If I don't break out a light kit because I feel like the light kit's boring, then again, that's a bad customer experience. If I don't break out a window out of my car and bring it inside the house, and now they're judging me on what pictures and stuff I'm showing, or basically bathrooms or whatever it might be, then again, that's a bad customer experience. If we tell them we're gonna follow up with them on a certain date and time, certainly in the front, and we'll work to the back, right? So if we tell them we're gonna follow up with a certain date and time and we don't follow up, we forget to, bad customer experience. If I don't write good customer detailed notes onto it after I'm done with the project, and then make sure that's handed out to the back, so there's no question on what's going on with picture detail and everything else, that's a bad customer experience, because then our project manager shows up unprepared and looks unprofessional. That's the major problems. And I notice that happens a lot. A lot. So again, and everyone in here is guilty of it. There's not a single person I've seen that has been 100% spot on with their paperwork 100% of the time where we haven't had to delve into detail, especially on large projects. You don't put stickers on your windows. Bad customer experience. Now you've got a measure tech going around a house re-stickering all the windows you should have stickered. Then you got a poor installer with sitting out there with 30, 40, 50 windows trying to figure out where the hell they go. That's a bad customer experience, right? So again, we look at that aspect, that's just on our front end. Then you're talking about the measure technician going on, right? Or project manager, whatever the hell you want to call it. So on that aspect, I think they're glorified measure technicians. I really do. They've got a lot of room for improvement to be, in my mind, to be called a project manager. Because customer service is a big deal, a huge deal, right? But, there's an old adage, return a phone call back on the same guy was brought in on, you'll run a successful business. That's why if I ever hear anyone in here, and this is the warning, that does not contact a customer back, and I give you 24 hours to do so, I will write you up the next time you be terminated. Okay? Because guess what? If you're the best, we're going to start acting like the best, and there's no excuses. Second thing, project managers. They should never not have a detail. That detail they need to have on through there, they already have a hard time brushing and walking at the same time. They're brushing their teeth and basic flossing. That's the first daily interaction. I don't have 100% confidence they're the best at. Are they good at what they do as far as measuring? Yes. But customer communication is tough. One of the other things that I feel like we should do is set the customer up to let them know they probably don't need to be asking them questions while they're measuring the project, because that takes their attention away. So when they're taking their measurements of things, and basically got a dancing monkey in the back, basically trying to go across, that can create a big diversion, which could create a mistake. I'm trying to get them to approve putting GoPros on their head as they're doing measures. So we're measuring as we have a GoPro on their head, and they're saying the measurements out loud, and then looking at the casing and all the different things on there, trying to figure out how not to make any mistakes. Now, lucky for us, I think we've only had, 1, 2 maybe missed measures in the last 6 months. It's pretty phenomenal. Most businesses have that in a week, if not a day. So when you look at that aspect on how strong we are, they're very good at one thing. But if we have to make them, think about this, you walked into an appointment and you forgot your iPad and you had to run an appointment. How hard would it be to navigate through that appointment and be successful?
Really hard for me because I call you and you press out.
But how much harder would it be because you don't have your keynote, you don't have your pictures, you don't have your pricing tool, right? You're unprepared. That's how it feels if you have no notes on something that we're doing in a house where there's big expectations set, but they've got no detail. That's the same exact way they feel walking into the house and how we've set them up on the next stage. So is that representing being number one in San Diego, being the best? 100% not. That's not acceptable. It will not be acceptable, okay? Because to me, it's our job. Remember, one thing I've said since I've been here that's never changed is it will never be sales fault, ever, okay? It can never be sales fault. We have to run a clean business starts right here. Everybody look at me and make eye contact right now. It will never be our fault because we will do what we need to do. You have one job. You know what your job is? Make sure you accurately price everything. And make sure you set the job up for success from the very beginning. That's your only job. You don't have to go and measure the job. You don't have to order the job. You don't have to install the job. You've got one freaking job to do it. If you can't do it, that's sad. And you get paid, guess what? More than anyone else, as long as you did your job correctly. There's no one else that makes more money than you if you did your job correctly. You make the most in the company on that job, maybe except for Larry. But he owns the place and he writes the bill, he writes the checks. So he gets that privilege. Okay?
Listen, do you have, I know I don't take very many notes when I'm writing up the contract and stuff like that. And I've only had like 1 or 2 really big jobs, and then I was, while the project manager was there, we were on the phone while he was at the house, but I would like in the future to be able to give him more information, but I'm not really sure exactly, like, what do you want as way in the way of notes to give them?
Okay. Mark, you're correct.
Template.
We have a template?
No, I'm saying,
Oh, we need
like,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mark, make sure there's a template. We used to have like a notes production form, didn't we? And then also you can put it.
People weren't using them.
Yeah, and then also there's an email. You can put out a detailed email, put the customer's name on it, write a detailed email out.
So what kind of information do you want there? Like,
Is there a little dog through there named Fluffy that could bite them? Is there a fence they don't want to? Is there brand new grass? Is there turf outside? There's one that I about came unglued on the back end because
The notes section. So type all the notes you need. Email it.
If I had a job,
And one of the things about it, guys, and I apologize for the transition or whatever, but, draw a little map for them. And don't have window 101, 108, 103, 105, 107, 124, help make it make sense. And if it is jambalaya, because you didn't have time in the house done jambalaya, then take time and sit down with the project manager and draw out a map for them and help them navigate through the job. That's your responsibility. Congratulations, you made a sale. But if you don't hand it off, garbage in, garbage out, it's the biggest freaking accounting term, right?
Do you have an
Guideline.
example of a job that is done the way you guys would like it to be done that we can look at as an example?
Yes, look at Mark Moore's old jobs. Look at, JC does a good job. Actually, Sean does a good job. There's quite a few people that do a good job. So I'm not saying everybody does a bad job, but I'm not talking about all the time. If this happened all the time, trust me, we'd be having a meeting going over nothing but paperwork. But in occasion, I would say 10% of the time, we run into that headache that makes a difference. So perception is to the back end. They're not paying attention to 90% of the time we do a good job. They pay attention to 10 because that's what creates the biggest problems, right? And then you become on the shit list with them, and you don't want to be on the shit list with them because then they basically on purpose don't help you out if you need help. Because it's just like, scratch my back, I scratch yours. So you have to make sure that notes, I don't care if you put it on an email, we'll create a little template for you to do. We'll make sure that's done into you probably by the end of the day today. Because thanks for asking for that, Cynthia, sometimes out of sight, out of mind. So we'll give you a little template to put down through there. And then number 3, if there's something goofy, like say you talked to Scott on the phone and they said you didn't need scaffolding on the back. They're just going to do the Home Depot scaffolding. Put a note in that you had that conversation with them. So, that way, basically 3-4 months down the road, when they get ready to install it, they're like, hey, we need a scaffolding on this, why didn't you charge it? See? CYA, you failed, right? So we got to make sure, again, we're doing those little things that add up to big things. That's how you get to be the best. It's all communication. It's internal and external communication. That's a big deal. And trust me, we're way better than I'm talking about. That's a big deal. Then on the back end, Scott Shank is one guy, okay? And he tries to put too much on his shoulders. I call him a box checker. I think he checks the box sometimes and moves the paper out to get it off his desk instead of just running at it. But if there's customer conflict, he'll run out to the customer's house and take care of it. That's crazy. But on the other hand, in some things, he's got so much to do in a day that he checks the box sometimes moving forward without fully diagnosing it. That's why he gets to me, I'm like, no. And I'll catch it, or Ed will catch it, and then we try to help do it. He's a good guy, you want him on your team, not against you. But again, it's those little things. So how do we make a guys like that life easier? Because if he could spend more time, policing rather than firefighting, his whole life would be different. Our lives would be different. But what I'd say, if you, just like an objection, if you reverse engineer what started the fire, a lot of times you'll find it's because our lack of communication, the lack of expectations that are set, right? Remember on our slide we talked about with the Better Business Bureau, what's the number one reason that the home improvement industry is the worst complained about industry?
Not meeting customers' expectations.
Not meeting customers' expectations, because we don't want to be guilty of that. And now that we're ranked number 1, don't think we're not going to get called out. Called out more than we've ever been called out before. And only you need is 2 or 3 moron-ass people on there, basically going online talking about we didn't meet their expectations, number 1, ha ha ha. You don't want that. You gotta protect reputation at all costs. Second, tell them you're gonna show up to the install, right? We're talking about the installers in a minute. Show up, they're gonna set to the installation. And you tell them you're gonna be there at the installation, you never show up. That's not being number 1. You say you're going to collect 4 referrals, and you don't show up at the time of install, collect the 4 referrals, don't even give them a call on the day of installation, which is probably one of the most exciting things that can happen. Right? Think about it. If you're going to spend 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 100, $150,000 worth of windows, they're going to trust you with it, and you don't pick up the phone and call, man, how would you feel? How would you feel? I just spent, say I'm in a house, well, I can't afford to spend $10,000, but I'm going to spend it because I trusted you and everything you shared with me. And you said it's going to come true, and I'm all excited. I can't wait to hear from you again. Because again, you told me you were going to call me at the time or at least stop by, and you don't call me or stop by. What did you just do? What did you just do to the company? What did you just do to your customer? What perception did you build, right? What reality are they thinking right now? What's their perception? You might think, hey, it's going to be a great install. I'm looking at my 9. They're looking at their 6 saying, They freaking lied to me. Everything went good. I love it, but I never heard from the rep again. That's not acceptable. That's why we create the little sheet. You gotta at least freaking pick up the damn phone and call. Make sense? Don't beat yourself. That's called beating yourself.
Calling before the install?
Call, if you know it's gonna be on the day of the install right there, if you question something might not be ready, you call them. You can call the project manager, you can call Scott and say, hey, or Jose, hey, just want to make sure this is getting installed today. Yeah, it is. Cool. Then give them a call. And if you did miss it, even if you give them a call a day later, not a gigantic deal, but it's always good to get there. There's this guy that sold roofing. Let me give you a story. Guy that sold roofing. What he did is he sold about $400,000 to $500,000 in roofing every single month. He wasn't the best sales guy, no. Not even close. He looked a little bit like a buffoon, so somewhat like Mike House. But what he did is on the morning of the install, he showed up with coffee and donuts and a personalized thank you letter and introduced his basically customer to the installer and then walked them around, explained the job again, and made sure that everybody was clear. And that one step he did, which made him get up a little early in the morning and show up to his install and introduce the installers right there, made him $400,000 to $500,000 a month, where he did that every single month. Think about what that guy's paycheck was at the end of the year. He had more referrals than he could run. Think about that. You know where I learned that? Everybody knows 4 people with his friend, families, neighbors, coworkers, or relatives, possibly interested in blank or blank. I got that from him. I heard him speak, and I was like, wow. And his numbers were set on the board. Numbers set on the board. Dude wrote like $4.5 million by himself. $4.5 million by himself, and ran 30% of the leads he ran were company supplied. 30% of the leads he ran were company supplied. Do you think that's being the best? Think that's being number one? Big volume. Months like that change people's lives. And all he does is he hustles and works a little harder than the next person. So again, what I'm trying to share with you, even though we're the best, and we got the title, now we got to prove it. Does that make sense? That makes sense? Yes?
Yes.
So that's what I'm telling you is we got to open our eyes up. It's not about that perception side of it we're thinking of. You know, so I put this little thing out. You know, how good are we actually? You know, is our perception reality? I can tell you that, yes, we have W-2 installers, okay? Yes, all of our employees underneath here are W-2. But there's still, with W-2 employees, a lot of room for growth. And where there's a lot of room for growth, that leaves a margin for error. Then we got to figure out how to minimize that margin for error. And how we do that is we over-document and over-manage the process to make sure we're not making mistakes. It's your customer. It's your fee for service, right? You're trying to protect that $1,000, $1,200, you know, on the back end, or $2,000 that's sitting on the back end waiting for you. What did you do to help the cause? Not sit back and complain once it's too late. So again, manage your situation. What are we or you? This is what I'm going to put it back on you. What are we or you? Do you feel like doing good? What are we or you doing good? I want you to take it on the back of your sheet. I want you to write it down. Because we need to identify it. If we just think it, it's bullcrap. We want to write it down. What are we or you doing good? I'd more focus on you. You're the part of the business in front of the customer all the time. What are you doing good? What do you think you are doing good in your perception? So what's your reality? What are you doing good? It can be more than one thing. Some of you guys do a ton of good things.
We as individuals, or
You as an individual. You are the company when you walk in the house. Again, Larry and Joyce, you are representing their business, Dream Style, in 8, basically 8 locations in 6 different states. That is you when you walk into the house. You are the representation of that. The $125 million company, that is you when you walk into the house. Nothing else. You are the only thing that's remembered. You are the face. Happy birthday, Bucky. It's hard as hell when you try to write stuff down. I love these things. So unless you're Sean. That could have been it too. Now I want you to look at one of your neighbors and I want you to share with them what you do good. Once that's done, put your hands up and put your thumb up. I'm just kidding.
Are we able to get a final window that has orders that don't have one? Because I feel like I've lost. When is that gonna happen? And I'm thinking about having to do my own like I don't feel the video really says no windows, which I see that. We shouldn't be doing this.
Oh, we're getting ready. I'm going to talk about
Even
that.
if you told me you're not.
Already. I'm going to get some samples. I've got, we're going to roll way nicer. We're actually going to microwave. So it's going to look like a dream style window. Like, whether I guarantee they're going to manufacture a window directly for us. We're just going to use them for like the impervia and the other stuff. I'll talk about it right now.
Yeah, I got it. That's why I didn't bring it up.
All right. What are you guys all doing? Go to the bathroom? All right, number 2. What could you be doing better? What could you be doing better to make us perceive our perception to be number 1? What could you be doing better? Are you doing video testimonials? Are you getting online reviews? Are you following up with your customers? Are you giving a massive presentation 100% of the time you walk in the house? Are you not shortcutting? Are you wearing company branded logo gear or a name badge on your right-hand side? Mark, you want that one? I did. Fasting. Oh my God. Trying to lose this little stuff right here. It's not bad, but there's a little bit hard. It's got some visceral something like that. Do you have a buoyancy partner? Is there somebody in here with you that you trust that keeps your butt accountable? There's somebody when you start to slack or start to basically get negative that slaps you back into reality. Or do they feed into it with you, which means they're probably not a good accountability partner. Who's checking you when you're down? Or who's listening to you whine that is enabling you? I think enabling is a form of abuse too. Dr. Phil was telling me that. They're telling basically the world. I mean, you have a child and you enable your child, he's going to grow up to be deficient. All right, so tell your group what you could be doing better to make best-look representation number 1. And let me give you some advice. Let me give you a piece of advice here. You never tell somebody else what they're doing wrong until your house is clean first. Like the sales side. I can't let the sales side clean. I can't go barking at the back and tell them what's broken on their side of it until we fix our side. That's why it can never be our fault. It's got to be their fault. That's like an alcoholic telling another alcoholic he needs to stop drinking. That's the pot kettle, that's the kettle calling pot black, right? Or whatever it is. So again, what could you be doing to get better? If you don't have a short list, I'm going to come look at your list too. Because I want to make sure you're taking it serious. Because I'm very serious. Not joking. No more bad months. If we're doing something and we're all clicking on all cylinders, I know what our minimum should be. I've seen it. So again, what are you doing to be better? By the way, I'm gonna collect these at the end. So you can take a picture with your phone. Well, I'll come take, when Mark will come take a picture and send them over. So write your name on the top of your page.
It doesn't, clearly doesn't matter if it's spelled.
Okay, there's only one. There's only one. We're gonna tell you Buckeyes. You ever seen that? You ever seen one of those? Next up, you've identified that. What are you doing good? What could you be doing to get better? And then what are we going to do about it? So again, what are you going to do about it? So what's your actionable steps? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? You're going to sit around and just keep watching it happen, and you're going to do something about it. Look in the goal setting. Ton of talent in this room. Ton.
Did you guys take a password? Do you know how to do that?
All right. So solution based, you don't have to share that if you don't want to, but I want to definitely see what we're looking at. What I want you to do is assign yourself a deadline. Right next to the things you say you're going to change, put a deadline next to it. What's your deadline? So if there's multiple things on that list, what I do want you to do is take one thing on that list you feel like is your biggest payoff activity, and I want you to share it to one of the people next to you, and then tell them what your deadline is. And I want you guys to put that in your phone as a reminder, and I want you to call and ask them how they've done or make sure that they've accomplished that for them. They'll be your accountability partner. So again, what one thing do you want to change? What's your deadline? I want you to share that with the person next to you or somebody that you trust, and then literally hold them accountable on that.
What if you don't trust anybody in the room?
That's why you're going to use me.
No,
I would still follow.
What if they have
We need one enough.
one?
We don't, usually we don't.
Enough to-
They don't pay us.
Right.
For it should be.
Well, we find out like how. Where we.
To an extent, unless you heard from somebody or we heard. So, yeah, so what you do is you just want to get on the phone and call them. Most of them are installed free. So a small percentage of the time we run into a hiccup, but for the most part, they're all good. So when you run a hiccup, they stick to it until they see the finished. But that happens, it's structure. It's not basic, so it's nothing black and white. So for the most part, yeah, they're happy. And I run in, again, I'd say probably 98% of everything we install is perfect. That 2% of the time you run into a hiccup or headache or taking a little longer to get the product in or there's a crazy installation or something going on in there. So those are the
So
ones.
it's better to go at the beginning of the first part of the install or
I would at minimum call. The first day, I would at minimum call. I made it a habit with my install kit. That morning, I was calling, hey guys, congratulations. I couldn't get out. I was working in the Bay Area. I said, hey guys, I just want to say congratulations again this morning. They got me out on the route, so I got this morning and all. To try to make sure my schedule allows it. I'm not promising anything, but I'm going to get by there at some point here. I just want to make sure you got my phone number in case you need anything, right? Cool. Hey, congratulations again, and I can't wait to see you Friday. So just that little touch. You know, or they promise you 4 referrals or a testimony or something. Schedule a date and time, you know they're both going to be there, and then basically put yourself on the dial. It's working smarter, not hard.
You know what, I do, I call them on the days, it's super. And I tell them like, hey, if anything's going on, just let me know. I'm gonna skip it, I'm gonna for a couple days, after the product. And I'm not gonna see you. Then I go out to see them a couple days after we use last year. And then I see the inspect it, they'll look at it, and then I'll tell them, when I sell them, I'll say, look, one of the things I like to do is come out. Is that that way, you do have that, mention, I'll let them, I'll let you know, you don't feel like you're from, that is the wrong way, I can get that information, you guys don't have to worry about the doesn't happen on all install cars, it's great. Or just keep in mind, there is that one little thing, we want to be careful for.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you suggest getting referrals after the presentation? Like, I was still kind of weird, like.
No, we didn't earn them yet. We didn't earn them yet.
Right.
That's why I said,
That's why I haven't really
I was, everybody knows for, I do, especially if I'm working them, say there's gonna give you that initial visit discount. And they tell me they want me to get down to a number, so I hope you do this, but we should, I need a little help. Here's what I need from you, right? Everybody knows 4 people, whether it's friends, families, neighbors, coworkers, or relatives, possibly interested in windows or doors, or in your case, bathrooms, right? So we look at that aspect. We're not asking for these names now, but after we earn them at the end, you should promise me that I can keep the secret. Now, that's plenty of time for me to earn those referrals from you, so at the end, I want to pick up those at the time of install after we've earned them for you. If you feel like I don't, or even you come up with only 2, I'm not going to be mad at you, but I can't count on you for even shooting with 4, right?
I feel like, it feels like I'm very awkward.
If you did a good job earning it, then there's no awkwardness to it. Okay?
You saying do it when you're doing pricing?
What's that?
In the presentation, you're doing pricing, not the install. My question was if you do it like the initial visit or the install.
I would do it at the install. I would set it up at the initial visit.
Yeah.
And then at the install, I'd pick them up. Because you get, once you earned them, it's okay to ask. If you didn't earn them, ask them from the very beginning. They're giving you a referral for what? But I would if I didn't sell it. I would say this. I'd say, John, hey guys, have I shared with you more about Windows than you ever cared about learning today? They're like, well, yeah, have I been okay? Have I represented my company fine? Good, well, I know you might not be in a position where you can move forward, but who do you know that might benefit from something I shared with you? And just get used to asking. The hardest thing you can do is ask. You don't.
It's so hard. That's my number one on my list. They never do.
It's with, as much as people like you and they buy from you, then why not? If you're multiplying your business, right? Compound effect. You ask for just one name, and then you get more comfortable. Then ask for 2, then 3, then 4. Never more than 4. But 4 is the magic number. You never want to ask for more than 4.
Did you try to get like the names and numbers for them?
Hell yeah.
That moment?
If they got somebody, yeah, my friend was talking about real quick. Can you get them on the phone? Yeah, I'll get them on the phone. Home is if they're available.
I didn't find it with but not like
Doesn't matter. They want to fit. Maybe their mom or their brother or like somebody like that that's better off financially than they are might be in a position. You should try to make something happen every time you're there. You gave the presentation. Why not figure a way to make it feasible for you? You know what I'm saying? It's either yes or a no, or basically date and time for follow-up, or if I'm going to follow up with it, I'd ask for referral 100% of the time. And you get used to it. It's weird because people are just like, you know what, actually, yeah. We do know somebody. I went to a little lady in the hood, actually, in Kansas City. Not in Kansas City, it's in St. Louis, like the hood, I call it. So I walked into that, and basically she couldn't afford my product. She loved it, wanted to do it. She goes, I don't have any credit. My credit's bad. I said, well, let's just go ahead and run. You never know. And so I talked her into running her credit, and then literally it basically went down. I called her, hey, you were right. I'm so sorry. I wish we could help you. Would you like to start with one window? She goes, I don't even have, 2 nickels to rub together. I said, oh, that sucks. I said, my heart goes out to you. Hopefully I've been okay for you. I called them all back even after bankruptcy. She goes, yeah. I said, you know what? My brother actually lives in, a nicer area, Chesterfield. And I want to basically have you go see him because how well you treated me, even though, I couldn't get done. I want to share his name with you. I went out and sold him 30 grand with windows. So it's all about making sure you're multiplying your efforts, right? If you just singular that one effort and never do anything outside of that effort, you haven't maximized your opportunity. That's what I'm keep maximizing your opportunity. I promise you just start asking and get used to asking like it rolls off the tongue. You got to just rehearse it to yourself. The hardest door you get out your car door, I call it. So basically, I used to did that. Then I got so confident that I would when I have an install, I would tee the lead. I'd do the 2 houses to the left, right, and across there. And I'd tee every single one of my leads, making sure I was getting everyone together. It makes a big difference. Tee your lead. If there's a house, there's a house here, and then there's a house here, and a house here, and then basically you got your 3 houses here. I'm gonna knock this door, this one, this one, this one. So if you come here, that's a T, and you got a T here too. That's called T in the lead. What's that? That's during the install. If I just sell one, I'll generally go knock on the door and set it up. I'll knock on the door. I had a whole system called No Neighbor Left Behind. And what I would do is I'd knock on the door and say, hey, John and Mary, hey, I just want to hand you my card real quick. I'm not here to sell you anything. Just let you know we happen to involve Mr. and Mrs. Johnson right across the street from you. They're getting brand new windows and doors inside their house. Now, I'm not here to do it, but if for some reason we were to park a car in front of your house and it were there and it bugged you to where you wouldn't want us to sit there very long, then we'd want to go ahead and make sure you did have a phone number to call direct onto that. I would be that contact for you. And I can count on you if anything were to happen. I mean, generally never anything gets by. Sometimes the wind picks up and if I roll a little bit of trash or something that might get away, I'd want to let that know so we can get out here and make sure it's taken care of for you. Can I stop by at the end and see what you think about the project? Would that be okay and make sure we don't need a nuisance to you? Yeah, cool. Here's my card. Again, I'm going to do it. And then I come with a gift at the end. At the end, I come with a little gift for the neighbor and I hand them something because law of reciprocity is give something to get something in return. If I give you a gift, it's harder to tell me no.
What kind of gift do you give?
Well, I'd have little dog treats if I knew they had a dog. I'd have basically, what's that? Yeah.
You have just like.
Oh, on the focus, I know a guy who used to do I always apologize for like like I say, look, there's gonna be some pretty loud noise, something you don't normally hear around here when it comes to window replacement. Moving the aluminum frame as opposed to steel. Any questions about it?
You do that when you're on the install, or after
Yeah,
the
like,
sale, after the sale?
If I'm there learning install oftentimes.
But do you do it after you've made a sale, or 2 months before kind of thing?
No, like I said, after an install. So I know you guys probably saw.
Well, that's what he suggested, maybe just say, hey, we're going to.
For sure, and you go back.
Yeah, and say, hey, and now that.
Cut these things out,
Because
it's really loud. All this noise.
So do you just keep like a supply of gifts in your car?
I had like a box full of like 3 different gifts that I'd carry. I was networking the hell out of it. No, I was networking the hell out of it. I'd do something that didn't like a lot of non-perishable things,
Yeah.
but I would have like little gifts. Like I had for once, I ordered a, it was like you plugged it into your, well, one of them was you plugged it into your computer and it was a coffee warmer. And it had my name and information on the coffee warmer. I had I had basically a mouse pad, and then I also had a, I forget what it was. There's like a little boat, like one of those little flowers that spun back and forth, like when you put it underneath the sun.
Yeah.
Just little trinket crap like that. And what I'd do is I'd break it out.
And it would have your name logo on it?
Yeah, and then I got so good at it with my name and numbers. Every time I walked to somebody's house, I handed them a coffee warmer as a gift when I first walked up. You'd be surprised how much you give somebody something, they want to give you something in return. Oh, really? I get this? This is mine? Yeah. Coffee mug cost me like $1.25 a piece. I made it way back in return.
A coffee mug?
Coffee warmer.
A coffee warmer.
You could plug it right into the USB of the laptop, and basically literally it plugged in, push the button, and it would warm up the coffee. Yeah. All right, guys, listen up. I want Mark to take a picture of your guys' sheets. I already got Jeremy's. But what I want to talk about, we were talking about some pretty cool things over here, actually. She asked me, she goes, honey, what's the best way to ask for referrals? There are a couple different ways you can do it, right? Teach you how to network your job is really good. What I shared with her is what I used to do back in the day. And actually, there's some cool ideas that you can do as far as like going online with a little trinket stuff. But number one, if I sold a deal, what I would do, if I sold this house, I would knock on the 5 doors around it. Automatically knock on the 5 doors around it. When I knocked on the 5 doors, and I actually found my sheet that I did. I called No Neighbor Left Behind. Had my ugly little picture on the bottom of it with had 3 coupons on it that I'd hand out. But on the first visit, I never handed anything out. What I do is I'd walk up and knock on the door and say, hi, John and Mary, my name's Dustin Rhodes. I'm with blank company. I just wanted to hand you my business card. I'm not trying to sell you anything today, just let you know we happen to involve Mr. and Mrs. Johnson across the street. And I just wanted to share we were going to be in the area over the next couple of weeks doing some remodeling out there. And in case one of the guys were to pull the trucks up in front of your house and you didn't want it there for any means, I just wanted to make sure you had a number to call if we inconvenience you at any point. I want to make sure this is my cell phone number here. You do see that, right? Yes, cool. Well, go ahead and put that on your refrigerator or something. Or, for instance, if the wind picks up and then something rolls like a wrapping on one of the windows that roll into your yard, I just want you to contact me immediately so we can get that out of your yard and apologize for any inconvenience. Can I count on you guys something or something you don't like to let me know? Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, would it be all right if I stop back by after the install to make sure to see what you found? Yeah. And then one thing I just thought of, I have a little letter and I write down their addresses and I ask the least the first name on it. And then what I would do is there's a little letter I mailed out. It just said kind of the same thing on there. I think I have it. I'll actually post a picture of it on the screen if you guys want it. Had 3 little coupons on the bottom of it called neighborhood appreciation stuff. And then after it was done on the 3rd one, then I would basically bring a gift back to them and ask them what they thought. Now these little gifts that I would give out, one was a little coffee mug warmer. You plugged it in the USB of like your computer and it warmed up the coffee, had my name and information on it. The second thing was basically a mouse pad. The same type of thing, had my name and information on it.
In your face?
No, my face. Had my name and information on there, and then the 3rd one was I had those little flowers you put in the thing and basically flop back and forth and you can think they're fun. So
So I had those 3 things I gave as a gift when I walked up so they would want to talk to me. Because I knew if I walked up and I put something in their hand, then they'd feel more obligated to listen to what I had to say and do it was a good treatment. But then what happened is I got a lot of thank you letters and I got a lot of appointments off me. The other thing I started doing, because it started working so well on my referral, is when I walked up into a customer's house when I was going to sell them something, I walked up as an appointment, I walked in and said, hey, Mike, how you doing? Hey, I brought you a little gift. And I handed a little coffee over and said, hopefully you drink coffee. Yep, I'm great. I'm nothing with drinks on or whatever company I said that time. And thanks for inviting me out today, please accept my free gift. Yep, and that little free gift they did set my tone off for the entire appointment to give reciprocity. There's a lot of things you can do, and I think I paid maybe $100 per box is what I paid to get like 3 boxes of it, and I'd use it till they were gone, and I'd replenish it. And the cool thing is, what I spent, I multituded in returns, because again, that reciprocity side is big.
Do referrals count 1 for 1 or 1?
If you get a referral, well, number one, you go run it off the book.
But then you put it on.
If you sell it, you're 1 for 1.
What do you mean 1 for 1?
So I believe it changed versus how it used to be. So if you're trying to bump your closing percentage, you sold something off, then let's say you were 7% and you sold your own at 98%.
You're confused. That was the old way. That was through Enable, and that was if you sold something from a prior month. We moved it to that month and went 1 for 0.
So if you're 7% and you sell it off, what's your now 8%?
That's right. So that would be called the same rep revisit back in the day, which is how you got that 1 for 0. But technically, you're a 1 for 1 on the year, but you're a 1 for 0 in the month. That make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, if you're running your sub-gens, I mean.
And you sell it, it's 1 for 1 when you sell it. Don't call and add it to the book. And then you don't sell it, now you're 1 for 0 and you just did that yourself. Keep it off the book until you sell it, and then you're 1 for 1. Like guaranteed strike. And if you sell it, you feel like it might be shaky, hold on to it for 3 days and turn it. So again, no one knows. So does that make sense on that? Does anybody come up with some good stuff? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of good information in there. What I'll do is maybe Mark and I take the pictures, we'll sit down and compile a best list. We won't put your names on it, but a best list of things that you said you need to work on, and then share with everybody. So I'm sure everyone can basically take something and work on to make themselves the best. Because remember, for us in San Diego to truly be the best, it takes everyone in here to be the best. So again, one of the daily questions we've asked, and I put it up on my very first keynote that I did on the stage back at the Hyatt Regency in La Jolla. We did that big, gigantic meeting. I asked, are we doing it? Take something you're working on, your presentation, your closing percentage, your basically part of the business, your detail, your stickering windows, whatever it might be that you're working on. Number one, first step is, am I doing it? Or are we doing it? Okay. Number two, have I mastered it? Do I have it to the point where I feel like I can't get it wrong? Right? And once I feel like I'm at that point, number three, do my results prove that I mastered it? That's the telltale sign. You can say you're good as you can be, but until your results show it, it's suspect say so in perception. Right? And sometimes, as we know today, I can be staring at that 6, I can be staring at that 9. Doesn't mean I'm right or wrong. It means that's my perception at that point, and if I'm willing to fight for it. So again, remember, until your house is clean, we can't bark outside of our walls until we know our house is clean first, right? Once we know we're doing everything to that nature, and we're giving it all we have, and we're doing it, we've mastered it, our results prove I mastered it, then you can bark outward. Till then, there's no barking outward. We have to work on ourselves first. That make sense? Do what is easy, life will be hard. Do what is hard, life will be easy. What that means, in my mind, my perception to that, the way I see the world, is if you do what is easy, which means give half-ass effort, only do it when it's convenient. Don't put the full effort into it. Don't work on it. Don't listen to books. Don't read. Don't do things to take you to the next level. Life's going to be hard because you're expecting to get it, which is entitlement. And entitlement's never good. That creates a shift in inertia. Objects at rest stay,
At rest,
and objects in motion stay.
in motion.
So again, the same type of things happen. We're energy. Our bodies and our makeup, we're all energy. You are energy. What you put out is what you get back in return. Would you agree with that? What you put out is what you get back in return. And if your energy sucks and you're focused on all the wrong things, I tell you what, at the end of the day, it's not about price. We've proven that with products after products after products. It's about value and creating the urgency and the need. Once you forget that, we follow the process and forget about everything else, we can only control and dictate what we have. So, are we doing it? Have we mastered it? And the results prove I mastered it. Stop the crybaby self-whining. Crybaby self-whining doesn't help anybody or yourself. It only takes you down. Make sense? And wrapping up, it's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see. The way we adjust our lenses, what we put in front of our face, the world is how we see it, is everything. If we don't perceive and our reality doesn't come between our eyes, Jeremy's pointed out the dancing monkey the first time, most of us didn't get it, right? But again, we look at that aspect, we only pay attention to what's in front of our eyes and what we see, not the whole picture. So again, what's the why? What's their why? How do you make their why your why? How do you sell John Brown through John Brown's eyes? How do we get a little more creative? So think about it, 3 actionable steps to take away. We've talked about it, aka a buoyancy plan and ending here. What are things I can start doing today to start getting myself on track or keep myself on track, right? What are things I can start doing today to increase my throughput? Get more referrals, do the things in the business that I want to make sure we're doing. What are things that I can stop doing immediately? Stop making excuses, start focusing, stop basically creating that, stop making somebody the bad guy. Stop making excuses for situations. Stop finding reasons not to present and give a master presentation. Stop prejudging. And what are things I continue doing? If I'm tasting success this way, like Mark Lance starting to sell the payment, right? Had the conversation 8,000 times, finally sinks in and starts listening and starts changing the results. Doesn't mean that it got that much easier. It just means now he's back on process again, right? Again, sometimes we have to find a buoyancy partner or a plan or ask for help way before we think we should. Anytime you go, let me teach you the lesson of this business. You know, I stayed in here 20 years without having to beg for basically a salary, had to beg for anything, because the whole deal is I stayed in this business because I identified when I started to fail and I got ahead of it. I didn't let it consume me and absorb me. I figured out what I needed to change and how to reverse engineer the system to make sure that I never let my lows get too low and my highs get too high. Consistency is the key to this entire business. And year after year after year after year, since I've been probably 28, there's been not a year I've made under 200 grand. Okay? Since I've been in my 30 or like 35s, 35 on, I haven't been under 300 plus. And it's because I understand law of consistency. And consistency is what pays the bills, ups and downs don't. So no matter how good you think you are, you need to always ask yourself those 3 questions. Number 1, am I doing everything it takes to be successful? And if I don't know everything in that recipe, I had to find somebody I request that can help me get that recipe. Number 2, have I mastered it? What does that look like? How do you identify it? What do you consider in your perception, your reality, that mastered it? And the third most important thing, do my results prove I mastered it? Because that's how you see the big fat paycheck, right? That's how you get the basically $8,000 to $12,000 to $15,000 every other week paycheck. And it happens every week. There's one of those. There's a couple of them. But the one thing is, if they stay consistent and you focus on making that revenue per lead, 7,000 plus, 8,000 plus, big shit happens. Focus on the thing that you can control, not what you can't. Remember, in ending, elephants don't bite, mosquitoes do. All right. With that said, let's end. Good stuff? Okay. So let's end up and go start the day again. We are not quite halfway through. Put the gas on it. Figure out what we got to do to make there. Make sure your perception isn't becoming your reality because you're just looking through the set of eyes. Let's be great. Let's aim great. Let's represent this basically best in San Diego the way it's meant to be represented. And it starts today. Make sense? Starts today. All right. Who they think gonna be SoCal? Nobody. Have a good day, guys. Appreciate you. Actually, let's do 2 o'clock. Best way to kill that real fast when you're in the house. They say, so if I hear you correctly, that sounds like to me you're just trying to find the best value for your dollars. So why would you think it's something like that with you? Because he's trying to beat you on price, right? Yeah. I'm telling you, he'll win all day long. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, people that want to play that game are only about price and giving you the best price. Right. Unfortunately, price and value are two different things. So they look at sure what we're going to do to make sure this is. If you like it, great. If not, let me explain how we do our prices. Right. And then flow right off. Make it sound like it doesn't even bug you. Right. For that whole statement, like back in the day, there was when the $189 people came out. Yeah. We were selling like a $900,000 vinyl window. God, I was long. Then I had to come up with a statement because I kept getting plugged. Well, if you're not the $189 people, you're wasting your time. I didn't want you. Right. So I had to figure out a way. How do you know if you do that, right? Yeah. Because I think what you're trying to tell me is you want the best value for your dollar. Is that correct? Yeah. That's exactly what we're going to show you. Yeah. So at the end of the day, let me explain to you how we do our prices. Give me a minute, Mark and I will.
Yeah, I'd like to see you before you go, but I'm going to go to the little boys' room.
Yes,
okay?
sir.
Thank you.
So that's the nature of it. People like
she was also much like, that is just so short. Oh, I mean, she it was a really difficult appointment. Like I was, but she was just so like, from the beginning. I don't know. So it's like, they were just sitting on the couch, like, she promised this guy. So I mean, I was almost wondering if I should just do it, but I know that that's not. But if I'm going to something like feeling resentful,
sometimes people play, right?
Yeah.
When I see people like that,
yeah.
Why are they like that? That's the first thing I try to figure out. Why are they like, why are you doing that? There's a reason why.
Yeah.
I said, did I say something to offend you guys? Did I hurt your feelings? Yeah, I do that. I would say, did I say something to offend you guys or hurt you? So I've never been in a fight where people have their arms crossed, I'm just basically an annoyance. If I'm an annoyance, I can leave just as fast as I can come in if you're not interested in having me. I'd love to share that you'll be happy. But if you don't want that, I mean, I'm not here to push you to basically do anything. We only go on scheduled appointments because we have more customers than we can see. We don't need your business, we value it. So share with me, what would you like for me to help you uncross your arms and get it better? And basically listen to it.
Right. And so, okay. Do you feel like since I had my first deals with counseling, do you feel like
I almost didn't say anything because I said, do your point. I almost didn't say anything. No, just keep doing what you're doing, right? As long as what you're doing works, just keep doing what you're doing. Sometimes you run into a stretch, right? Yeah. Now if that gets to be like 6 or 7, then we'll take a look at it. Right. It's not a big enough stretch to make a difference.
It just feel like they weren't, except for that last one.
Reverse engineer, right? Where in the process could it change the result? Always think that when you're in the house, where in the process could it change the result? What did I do good? What could I have done better? What was the breakdown, right? And then what did I learn from it? Like take it moving forward, right? Concentrate on those 3 things every appointment. Each one's going to be a success.
and just kind of learning information.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
right on your stage, you sell it or you learn, right?
Right.
So that's the case you got to do.
I just like, I don't wanna get, like, if I feel like I start questioning myself, you know, and then like my customer and stuff, I just like.
Your close percentage? There's no
No,
confidence to be thrown. You know, hey, out of 10, if you're hitting basically 3 or more out of 10, you're doing a good job. And you're well above that. So don't worry about it. Listen, take each opportunity. Worry about each opportunity. Don't worry about all the other stuff. Worry about just the opportunity. You can't change the past, you can only change the ones that you can. So worry about that one and that one only, nothing else. That makes sense? You can't get, the biggest way to get wrapped up mentally as a rep is to focus on your last opportunities and think how you're gonna change it too much. That's why I'm big on, once you result it, once you result it, check the box is done. Don't go going back.
And you don't call and follow up.
I want to think about it some more. I don't think about it. So what you're telling me is really you think about the money, so you ask me how much too much is that. Don't even, I want to think about it. It's never that.
It's kind of like they were all doing this.
You need to say it. That's the biggest door that you let come out. So guys, that sounds like to me around that, right? So you can see it. Yeah, and then they say, yeah, well, of course you're not, because you don't plan on doing this, right? You're not going to do this a day, and you realize how bad it was in here. So of course you're not. Remember, I told you buying windows is kind of like buying a house. Depending on how big depending on how big your house is. And we try to scale it back down pretty hard, all right? It comes back to 2, 3 times. Number one, just like myself, I couldn't afford doing it once. Number two, they want to make sure we're doing a great job, right? They're some of the type of people see how to right? Because guess what? If you do nothing today, that's what we're going 6 years from now, it's going to get better. It's going to get worse. Right? So what a lot of people tell you is they've been thinking about it, not even you want to start another basically 3 years before you tackle it. Let's face it, even if you just 2 windows a year, that's 6 windows that'll be done. Now we're talking about a lot less money in the future. If we allow you to win on that, 2 years, that sounds like something. You get your discounting and things like that, then at least you're moving forward. The hardest thing is to start. Right? If we start the project, monthly investment, is that affordable? Monthly investment? That's affordable. All right, keep going right back to the name. Never mind that was price. We're every time there's only struggle.
Okay. All right. And what about two phones, PC phone, and blah, blah, blah.
Stop. Don't let him get, don't let him verbalize. Stop him. Watch. Lose their train of thought and take it right back to it. You call that with a window. There are other projects you don't. This is the inside model. We don't control the water. Right here, basically, a piece of furniture on the inside. Okay. You got 2 different aspects. Just like furniture here, actually, you can go out to Walmart or online. The sales are not. Yes. How much is a piece of furniture? You take that window, how many times You would think that this is a little piece of.
I just thought it was.
I don't. We're not trying to throw something cheap, you're gonna replace it every time.
Thank you.
We're trying to put a perfect picture. That's why buying windows, like buying a car, depending on how many windows you have, depends on the size, like, I mean, an SUV, that should be more expensive than a Fiat, right? So again, depending on what your level of expectation is, that depends on how much you're gonna spend. So again, if you wanna wood out all this, then you can get $3,000-4,000 window. If you scale it down, maybe you're around $5,000, just depends on where you're at. So again, we can kind of scale it down where we need it, but again, we wanna make sure that you're set up correctly at the end of it. So again, my goal is to help you forward it. If I fail you today, my apologies up front.
I got my number right.
No, don't forget to,
Okay.
even if you sneak it in on your own, that's a big mistake of fraud. Don't forget. It's the pulse. It's the pulse, right? I'm trying to resuscitate you, because you guys just phone that you just out. And I don't take the gas, I just start basically, go mouth to mouth. Samsung, and do all kinds of damage. But I need to.
You said everyone.
It's like, oh, they didn't charge us. They didn't even know the truth. Because you get the injection out.
Where is that?
Roll the price. But if it's an injection, comes out after that, so it's bullshit. You're getting ahead of the injection.
Yeah.
Think about it. I say,
So I know at Costco.
You turn right by the high school. We want the, basically brown end, the white out. Street.
Yeah.
The inside, the white house.
The house brand right now.
You want that, you know, the basic green stuff, flashing, and making sure the light bulbs are on, all the items of the.
Yeah, if you go to high school, you take a ride.
It's not easy. It's like a mini construction project. And that's something like everything we talked about, pretty much nothing else. We talked about the last. Yeah, it's not like we had everything, we got no trees,
And there's a house trust.
So I think we got everything. I just want to make sure I have the pricing out.
I know.
It's not like we have our prices, And I'm asking, just staring at you with my eyes. If you tell me, no, I think it's already listed.
Yeah.
I'm making a big deal.
I only know this one. I'm looking to buy it. My wife is.
Maybe I am.
You
got the, you got a blank check, we can just say, hey,
I do.
we got this covered. We got the windows covered on.
At least you don't give it to a lot. You know the truth. You walk out and you know the truth is better off than that.
No.
And the only thing you do by not asking that question,
Yeah.
is you never know the truth. You're beating your head against the wall, you got a big follow-up hole.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is check the box, right? Yes or no. If they tell you yes, you then know it's the price or the payment that's keeping you moving forward, nothing else.
Right.
So anything that comes out, I wanna think about it, I make some decision, that bullshit they have right there coming out, that's all something, that's all substance, right? Because the person that never makes that decision, when you ask that question, you just ask question, we just throw it where it is. No, we never make that decision. Then you know that's gonna happen back and forth. But again, if it's all about that, literally, they tell you yes, besides price range, 95% of people are gonna tell you yes, we did that, anyway. But you are literally setting yourself 95% of the time, let's get yes or no. That's all you can ask. If you get a yes or no when you walk, so now you know what objection you're giving you, so now you know what's working. It's more money than I expected. Rewind. How was my price impression? How was my inspection? Did I build enough value, right? Instead of basically sitting here after you're done, you know, hey, I think I can think about it. What did I think? I can call them on Tuesday. Second you leave, they forget half of what you said. Next day, they forget 3/4 of it. The day after that, you're an ignorant. There's nothing left. That's why I don't believe in feedback. Every now and then, if you will. Every now and then. Here in I don't believe it. So I believe.
I don't either.
download it?
Yes.
Okay,
He
so
already-
no problem.
Yes, but I didn't know if I was gonna join you, just go over the kosher thing, that was there, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And just kind of share with you my experience.
So. But she.
But you said what time you took to divide that? You said what time you took to divide that? That's why I wanted to.
Learning as it goes.
Yeah, it was always doing something. They're taking the shine, the details, all the colors and everything now. There's probably nothing besides pressure fixing. People can enjoy it, you want to love it, right? We go ahead and make this order, whether it be the price or.
Anybody know or the Galaxy Note 9?
I'm just saying, if you could roll
What's
that.
that?
If you do all that work.
Anybody's on the
How about how
market
much
for
time
a
it
Galaxy Note 9 phone?
Really, how many more of these would you?
Some other time. Yeah.
All right, I don't want to.
So, we'll call you.
Yeah, well, again, right now, everything's fresh on our mind. They know that's the best time to make a initiative, not just it. So what it sounds like to me, besides either the price or the payment, there's no reason we couldn't get your project started.
You percent it or you?
I just trust me when you say it. That's why.
So how do we keep something like that?
DSR is
Like, I thought, like,
You need to put.
The word keeps it all organized.
I just left it to the imagination.
You don't know the sell, you tag, you put it on the first shot on the tag. It's like, you can't apply for
I think
financing.
that's the first time I've heard it.
I would do what
Yeah, it won't be very,
I would do.
only context.
That's great. So, sounds like to me in 2 months from now, you'd be ready.
I've used it
to
before,
forward.
so I don't-
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Here's what we
I'll
do.
get-
Jason Rock was-
Very high profile.
Basically, what.
So what I usually
Then I
do
lock you in.
is.
And in 2 months, when you're ready to go, you just call me up, say, hey, Cynthia, I'm ready to roll. And then I'll keep it under lock and safe, so we your information is basically protected. Then we're going to turn it all in and get you going on that process. And we want to save the extra 10%.
So.
And then boom, we give you from there. At least you got a wish ticket.
Yeah.
Still not an order yet, but it's a
Right.
wish ticket. For it, and you test the truth.
Right.
Obviously, trust you, verify, right?
Yeah,
Test
I
the
mean, I
truth.
just don't, probably wouldn't have started the cost.
What's that?
It's 30,000, you know? with something like that and stuff like that. He said you got it to 15. So it just,
So I didn't think 15, so some of you guys would pay
I
cash
mean,
for it.
I got it down to 10 if we did do structural engineering, came in at 10, you know? So, but she's like, no, but I really wanna, I wanna do the whole thing, the whole wall. She got, you know, once we had the, like, the 12-foot clear, she wanted to go back to 8-foot. I spent like 3 hours, you know?
Yeah, that's part of
That
it.
just happens.
But that's part of the game. You never know, that might have set you up for a referral. You know,
And I did. So how do we keep our appointments from getting rehashed? Something that we're like, we just say do not rehash.
Or do not rehash.
Do not rehash. For that.
Yeah, let me know when you say that though, so they
Oh,
call me
really?
up. I'm not. Yeah, because
And how do we know if our appointments have been rehashed and have been sold? Will we find that out? Or will you guys not tell us that?
if you put do not rehash on it,
But if.
then I go in there and read the note.
Mhm.
Like, so when the note, it comes over as a rehash,
Mhm.